Hey guys, DMS3TV here. I have with me today the SIMGO EN700 Pro. This is another IEM in the line from SIMGO. As you may or may not recall, I kind of liked the EN700 base, a warmer IEM, but with a few complaints here and there, one of which being that they didn't have a detachable cable. So, does the EN700 Pro stack up at $50 more? Let's find out. So at the beginning, I think it's important to note that they did fix one of my biggest gripes with the EN700 base, and that is that these do have a much improved cable, and it is 2-pin detachable. Not only that, the cable feels like it is very high quality. I'm not really worried about this thing breaking anytime in the near future. They still have the exact same carrying case as the previous SIMGO IEMs, and the same metal housings that I quite liked. They're incredibly smooth and fit in my ears with absolutely no issue. They do get warm after several hours of use because they are made out of metal, but I really can't complain because they are incredibly smooth and fit my ears very well. They, of course, like the other SIMGOs, come with a variety of tips that can, in some cases, change the sound. For all intents and purposes, if I'm just talking and I don't clarify which tips I'm referring to, let's assume that I'm talking about the ones that are aimed at a more neutral sound signature. And that said, since the build in these is absolutely phenomenal, as was the last, I'd like to go straight into sound because I think that that is a kind of a big subject with these. Whenever something says Pro on the end, I like to go by the assumption that is possible this is being marketed towards a professional. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Someone who is going to be working in a studio environment, a sound engineer, maybe a musician who's monitoring. And for all of those purposes, I could see these working out relatively well. Mostly because of their sound signature, but there are a couple things in there that I do have to complain about. But the real question is, do those complaints carry weight against an IEM that is only $159? So, as far as low frequency is concerned, these are relatively flat across the board. They don't sound boosted at all, and I am more than happy with the low frequency performance that the SIMGO EN700 produces. As we move into the lower mid-range, things do feel a little bit less pronounced, but that's not really a bad thing, as this frequency range is where a lot of your mud tends to come from. It's not necessarily recessed, it's just not particularly pronounced. The issue is when we get into the upper mids. These are a little bit mid-forward, and the mids can be a bit shouty. Specifically, a treble frequency for me personally is 6K. A lot of headphones that have a 6K peak I do have a little bit of trouble with. That's my only gripe with Icon, is the 6K peak. That's why I personally don't listen to or own a pair of HD 800s, is because the 6K peak. So, give and take a little bit. A lot of producers still do prefer headphones with 6K peaks, though I'm not 100% sure why. I know sound engineers tend to avoid that. Some diffuse field headphones have peaks around 6K. I'm just not a fan of peaks, I suppose. With that said, that is my largest complaint across the board with the EN700 Pro. And I still find myself using these quite a bit. I absolutely could see a sound engineer or anyone who is into music production using these, especially as monitors, because they are relatively isolating due to their fit and their construction. The real question that comes into play, though, in my mind is, are these going to appeal to a hi-fi enthusiast? If you don't mind a 6K peak, absolutely, these are phenomenally detailed IEMs, and extraordinarily well balanced, with that one exception. However, if a 6K peak or any peak in the upper mids or treble is a problem to you, there are significantly less detailed IEMs that I do prefer over these. Let me give an example. These are the Final Audio E2000. They are $44, and I'm going to have a review out on them in the very near future, as well as the Final E3000s. Now, out of those two, these are the ones that I prefer, and this sound signature right here on the Final E2000s is close to, it isn't exactly, but is close to what I would consider the ideal sound signature for an in-ear monitor. Not necessarily for producing, but for personal listening. I prefer the E2000 over the SIMGO EN700 Pro only because of the sound signature. In every other respect, especially detail, I would take the EN700 Pro. But because of that one peak that causes the shoutiness, I find myself using the $44 IEMs more often. Now, I don't do nearly as much sound engineering these days. I used to own a recording studio. Back then, I would have used the EN700 Pro nonstop. And if you are interested in sound engineering or producing, I think that these are an excellent portable companion for a producer. But I think that for a lot of people, there will be a problem with that peak. However, if you love headphones like Icon, and actually, honestly, here's the thing. It may sound like I don't like Icon. I actually love Icon. I have a review of that coming out soon also. I'm going to be taking them back to ZMF when I go to CanJam. But I mean, Icon has a 6K peak and I absolutely love Icon. So if you do love Icon, which Icon's a great headphone, you'll probably like these also, because it is a very similar sound signature, only with less warmth. As always, if you want to check these out, I'll provide a link in the video description. And since these are a relatively strong contender, especially on building comfort, I will be featuring them in my next upcoming IEM roundup, which I hope to do in the next few months. I just got to get a few more IEMs together in this price range, and then we can knock them all out and figure out which is the best and for what use. So guys, if you like this video, please leave a like down below and subscribe for more videos. If you want to consider supporting the channel or you want early access to my videos or exclusive content, please consider checking out the Patreon, which is linked below. On there I post unboxings and text impressions of headphones before I do the review. You also get early access to the reviews before they come out. I already said that. That's fine, you get the idea. But anyway guys, until next time.
I wouldn't.
Peace.
When I was young, I'm not getting anymore. Some days I said, wish I wasn't getting